Hey everyone, welcome to episode 1 of Tuesday Tips. This is kind of be a more general episode because it is week 1 of beginner tips. I'm going to be talking about Yao versus Freeslice and which one you should be using on various size puzzles. So, if you don't know what Yao and Freeslice are, I'll put some links in the descriptions to tutorials. I was kind of hope if you're this video series kind of assumes you already know the basic techniques. So, I'll talk about Yao versus Freeslice. So, everyone knows it's pretty much accepted as fact now that Yao is the best method on 4x4. People have been using it for years and years. I think I was the last like elite 4x4 solver to switch to it in 2013, and honestly, I switched way too late. There's really no debate. Yao is better. Yeah. I also think there's no debate that on say on a 10 by 10 that Freeslice is better. The benefits you get from Yao are going to be nowhere near to outweighing the negative effects of Yao on a 10 by 10, and say on 10 by 10 on and up, Freeslice is 100% better. The real debate is at which point does it kind of switch from Yao to Freeslice is better. If you're not quite aware, the benefits of Yao are that So the benefits of Yao are that after you solve the cross edges and all your edges, the cross is done. It's much like solving cross after Freeslice reduction is very difficult. It really feels unnatural because you're so used to doing it with your inspection time on 3x3. But in Yao, the cross is done. You get a lot of easy cases while you're doing your edges during 4x4, and really the benefits are pretty large, especially on 4x4. However, the obvious negatives are that while you're solving your centers, you're locked in this kind of awkward turning style on your centers. So right now you can only do U-turns on these three cross pieces will lock your U-turns, so you can't do an F here to solve centers. You have to move the open piece here. So it's pretty accepted that 4x4 is the best for Yao, and or Yao is best on 4x4, and then as you get larger, Freeslice becomes more and more kind of optimal. Especially like if you just take, for example, on 7x7, if you already have your first two centers done, just looking for cross edges becomes much more difficult in 7x7, and especially trying to solve centers while you're holding this one outer piece with your left hand here is really awkward, and there's no way. Going to be very, very difficult for Yao to be kind of efficient on 7x7. So in my official opinion, this is still conjecture as cube methods aren't completely developed. I think Yao is best on 4x4, Freeslice is best on 6x6 and up, and then 5x5 you can really choose whichever one you want. 6x6 or 4x4 is pretty obvious. It's Yao is best. 6x6 I also think it's pretty obvious. Freeslice is best. To be fair, there isn't that much data, as Felix and I are really the only super elite 6x6 solvers, and we've been using Freeslice for years. However, just watching people that are good at 5x5 on Yao use Yao on 6x6, it really reaffirms my belief that even like the negative impacts of Yao on 6x6 will always outweigh kind of the benefits. On 5x5, I originally thought that Freeslice was significantly better. However, I've kind of revised my position to think that you can be just as good with either one. I think that it'd be very odd that they're both equally good. I think one is probably better, but right now it's certainly too tough to say, and you can certainly be a world-class solver with each method. A good example of this is that Felix and I use a reduction along with Seung Nam. We all use Freeslice, and we held the top 3 averages for a very long time. However, Mats Valk just got a 56 average European record, which was beaten, I think. But Mats has been showing that, and he uses Yao, and he certainly has been kind of coming onto the big cube scene more recently, and he's not quite nearly as experienced as Felix and I in terms of like practice time on 5x5. It's kind of been something he's more picked up recently, and he's shown that Yao is certainly a viable option. And I think with a lot more practice and kind of more dedication to 5x5 in particular, Mats and a lot of the Yao solvers can equal and be just as good or better than some of the Freeslice solvers. So in terms of this video series, I do use Freeslice on 5, 6, and 7, which are the cubes that will be featured in this video series. So all my kind of tips and tricks will be tailored towards Freeslice. A lot of times that tips and tricks that are available on Freeslice for big cubes will also work for Yao. However, there's no guarantee that this is going to happen, and If you're a Yao solver on 5x5, I'm sorry, but this tip series might not quite be as useful to you as it would be otherwise. However, I would strongly recommend on 6 and 7 that you should switch to Freeslice if you're using Yao. I think it is a far superior option. If you're not using Yao on 4x4, definitely switch to Yao. Absolutely switch to Yao as soon as possible. I switched very late, and it is definitely a negative effect to me even now, as I don't quite have as much experience as pairing the white cross edges on M, and just solving just kind of the Yao style in general. I'm a little behind on because of how late I switched. On 5x5, if you're pretty entrenched in one Yao or Freeslice right now, I wouldn't say there's any need to switch. However, if you're starting out brand new, definitely kind of look around, see what suits you best. However, I will be tailoring this series to Freeslice. So yeah, check back next week. I'll have a more specific tip, I promise this time.